On today's video, we are talking about Dyson Daniels, on track to become the second consecutive player to be drafted, possibly in the lottery, probably in the lottery, after graduating from the NBA's Global Academy in Australia, following in the footsteps of Josh Giddey, who did go 6th overall last year to OKC. But I mean, Raz, we're talking about one of our favorite prospects on the breakdown today. So, I mean, Dyson Daniels, man, give me the elevator pitch.
Now, I love a good combo guard. He's a combo guard in every sense of the word. He is a 6'6", 195 pounds, 6'7", probably 195 pounds is what they list him as. He has the ability to that body frame is going to fill out. He may still be growing. He has the ability to get downhill and get into the lane. A nice efficient floater. And he has somebody who has the potential to be a nice spot up and catch and shoot, 3-point shooter. He's shown a little flashes of that. That's something that's going to have to continue to improve for him to reach his potential. But I think if you're looking at him, he looks and he has a prototype of somebody who's going to be able to translate to a two-way player in the NBA. And that's something that is being coveted by every scouting department, the ability to get offense and not give up offense. So I think he's one of those players where if he really grows into the potential that he has, he's a steal wherever he's going to get drafted because it's going to be outside of the top 5.
Starting on the point about him possibly still growing, he did the film session room with Mike Schmitz, and I think Schmitz, they kind of hinted at him being 6'8" now. So yeah, he legitimately, we're talking about a real oversized big wing, somebody who, shout out to Big Guard U. Dyson is definitely somebody who's going to fill those shoes. And in a league that places valuable currency on playmaking and multi-positional defenders, I think Dyson kind of proved the point that he's going to be able to fill a lot of holes for you and contribute to really good habits and good winning basketball. And when he gets drafted in the NBA, I mean, like you said, Dyson really does excel in grab and go transition. Super unselfish guy. Able, has really good court awareness. He's able to find his teammates when they are filling the lanes. He's really good at that Kevin Love 3/4 court outlet pass. He's really good at that.
Putting the pressure on the defense where he can make that pass to a spot up corner 3, a shooter, and if not, back it back out to an offensive threat, like a point guard who's going to be able to go downhill and get baskets as well.
On a G League 19 roster that featured a lot of score first guards. Shout out to Jaden Hardy. Daniels kind of proved his value as the calming presence on that team, who's able to actually get the team into their sets, keep the offensive pace flowing, and overall just having positive tendencies of an on-floor maestro. So, I mean, what were your favorite parts of Dyson on offense, though?
For me, it's the ability to be that big guard and get downhill. I think he is someone who, when he's going downhill, he keeps his head up. And I think his ability to now put pressure on the defense and still be able to make that second pass to an open and a better shooter, or just make off of that in general is something that I loved about his game, especially playing, like you said, on that G League Ignite team that had a lot of score first players on there. He's somebody who was able to kind of craft out his role, and I think he's someone who will benefit from the spacing in the NBA. I think his passing will be able to improve due to that. With more spacing and better offensive players around him, I think you should see some assist numbers go up.
He showed some pretty intriguing flashes of body control, I would say. He has some pretty interesting, like, nifty wrong foot finishes, under the arm finishes, like able to really scoop or just like finish and scoop under the arms of defenders. So he mentioned somebody who he kind of translated or just mirrored his game around as SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that's pretty interesting because Shai isn't the most explosive athlete, but he's so good at finishing in an unorthodox way and just catching guys off guard. And I think if he's able to really get that into his bag, that would kind of be pretty damn good for Dyson. But I mean, we haven't spoken about the shot, Raz. Now, going back and watching Dyson's actual some of his club stuff in Australia before he did come over to the G League Ignite, where he's at now and where the beginning of the film, my starting point on Dyson as a shooter, for me at least, I can see he's already came a pretty long way as a shooter, which is a pretty good indicator of where he might be able to get to in the future. But he only shot around 30% from the 3-point line this season. So there's still work to be done. But in terms of where he can be as a shooter and just the form and the mechanics and possible long-term, just capabilities as a shooter, what did you make of his shot?
So he's willing to take that shot, and he's not scared of taking that shot. He has a fluid motion, and there's no hitches in it, and it's pretty consistent. And like you said, I think just getting with a shot doctor and, quote unquote shot doctor, I think it's just, getting more comfortable at the NBA range and the repetition and playing more NBA basketball. His shot will naturally start to get a bit better. And I think once he gets around some of these NBA shooters, he'll learn some tricks of the trade there, because that motion is fluid. And he's somebody who isn't scared of the moment and scared to take a shot. So I think those are encouraging signs right there. I think it's now going to be figuring out when and where he takes that shot. Is it going to come off the dribble? Because like you said, we have to work a bit on the handle there. So I don't know if he's going to be a person that's going to be shooting off the dribble right now, but getting into a pull-up, mid-range and working on that catch and shoot is going to be something that's going to take him to the next level.
There's a base to work with for Dyson. That's probably the best thing that we can say about the shot right now, because if you just look at the numbers, none of the numbers are pretty good. The mechanics on the jumper aren't broken, which, like I said, is something. There's a base that he's going to be able to work on moving forward. It's not a quick release, but it's not particularly slow either. His shooting coaching in the next level is probably going to actually work on speeding that up for him. But he actually, as a catch and shoot guy, just trying to grade his mechanics, he, like you said, being a willing shooter, he looked comfortable hopping into his jumper, a nice little 1-2 step, and just rhythm based for the actual shot. He doesn't. I think his footwork is actually pretty good, but it's pretty archaic and mechanical just in terms of the shot. And it's not the most seamless mechanics, which you want to see him probably make it more of like a one motion shot at the next level. But there's no like nasty dips on his shot, and it gives you some, avenue for growth in the future. Now, we're both fans of Dyson, but what would be the most thing you'd be concerned about for him at the next level? Something that if, we go to the future a couple years down the line and he's kind of stagnated in his potential, what do you think the concern or the actual root of that would have been?
To become a better ball handler. I don't think any of this other stuff will pretty much matter. I mean, yes, he could become a knockdown 3-point shooter, but like you said, we're working on potential of his base, right? Like that's the best thing we can say about his jump shot. So that's the furthest thing that he can improve right now. I think it's going to be his handle and becoming a better playmaker, because as a big guard, if you can play make, you have a spot in this league. And I think him being able to see over smaller guards and be a matchup nightmare that way would be something that would make him a much better prospect. And I think if he doesn't improve there, that's going to be his biggest hiccup.
Finishing up on his defense, Dyson has a bunch of tools, and he has a lot of potential to be a pretty strong team defender. I have my questions about how good of a point of attack defender he's possibly going to be at the next level. Improving his technique and fighting through screens, being a little better fighting through screens is going to be something to watch. I think it's something he's going to be able to do. And one of those guys, especially when you get into your international guys who have been playing club basketball and professional basketball at a young age. And if you go in Europe, and it's a big difference between just the dynamics and the culture between AAU and international basketball, you kind of got to defend to make sure you get your minutes. So he's proven that, and that's probably a challenge that he's going to be able to take at the next level. But he does show pretty good foot speed, that he flies around on the perimeter, and he gets kind of feisty in the passing lanes. His positioning is pretty good, and positioning and keeping the integrity of the defense and not really gambling on that side of the ball, and actually using that good foot speed to really close out well without really giving up penetration opportunities on that side. But overall, what did you make of Dyson's defense?
I feel like the word here is with Dyson is potential. We're selling a lot of potential right now. I think he has all the physical tools to be a great defender. He has that length. He has, above average foot speed. I do think he does tend to struggle with smaller guards. So I think it's finding him, the right matchups right now. But I think as he becomes a bit stronger, he'll be able to guard, twos and maybe threes. If he puts on some weight, I think we'll struggle right now guarding those little quick guards who are just so much faster and laterally quicker than him. But I think if he wants to improve on the defensive end, maybe, become a little bit more active with his hands, steals, deflections, some blocks in there from the guard position, I think, he has the ability to, like we said, to be one of these, better two-way players in the draft.
So yeah, final takes on Dyson Daniels, and just one thing that I really wanted to harp on and really bring home, and probably if we're going to talk about indicators for long-term shooting potential, my favorite thing for Dyson is he has a really good floater, and he doesn't necessarily take a lot of mid-range shots, but when he does get to that between 6 and sometimes he takes long floaters, and it just kind of shows you his comfort level with that shot. And sometimes it can be a two-edged sword on, you want to see your guys get all the way to the rim, and you want to see him show a little more comfort taking mid-range shots. But Dyson's mid-range ability, and even when he gets a smaller guy, if he gets switched on with a smaller guard, or if you just have an undersized guard on him, he's able to really just use his strength and use his frame to really just shoot over the top and do a little hook shot and those little runner shots when he's in that intermediate range. So that's probably, if you're looking for selling dreams on Dyson Daniels, which this video kind of is, that's probably the number one selling point, because you got to have really good touch to really be a capable threat in that mid-range area. And that's probably what I would look at between just positive indicators for Dyson. So finishing up on actual landing spots for Dyson, if we just look at the top 10 and where he could possibly go, just thinking about hypothetically, theoretically, and fits, letting Dyson off a guy like Jay, I don't think he's not going to go third. Would be pretty unlikely, even though Dyson's draft helium is pretty high. But going third would probably a little shock me. Still shock me with Jaden Ivey on the board probably. But if you put him on next to a guy like Jalen Green, I think that's a perfect fit for what he's going to be able to do. I think also probably another good fit is you throw him in. There's a lot of guards in New Orleans, but theoretically and hypothetically, somebody like a CJ McCollum, if he's able to play with a guy like that, that would be pretty interesting. 10 at Washington, somebody with a guy like Bradley Beal. I think Beal probably they would mesh pretty well, and I think what Dyson brings defensively would actually make Bradley Beal's life a lot easier on defense. But inside of the top 10, what are your favorite fits for Dyson?
I was looking at maybe
the Knicks.
Yeah, there is the Knicks. And the Knicks, they need a guard, but they need a point guard. They need a point guard, and we already talk about him being the off-ball guy right there, but if he's able to go there and develop as a PG, as a big guard there, I think that would be incredible. I would love to see him playing with somebody if he falls out of the top 10. What if he falls to, a place like Cleveland, get to play, off of Darius Garland, and then inside the top 10, San Antonio. I would like to see him with that another big guard lineup with him and DeJounte. It might get a little chaotic until he figures out, his shooting. There's a lack of shooting there, but I don't see why San Antonio's acclaimed development program wouldn't be able to at least, give him a boost there. But yeah, let's wrap it up with Dyson Daniels. You guys let us know in the comments what would be a good fit for him in the lottery. What teams you see him going to, any, and remember to subscribe and like. This is Draft Season Podcast. We will be coming back with more content with you guys soon.